Welcome to The Explainer. You know what honestly keeps IT managers up at night? The absolutely chaotic, wildly complex world of modern enterprise IT. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on that exact reality. We're going to break down how a platform called ZioSet uses something known as Agentic AI to completely map out and control this wild environment. So, if you've ever wondered how massive global companies actually keep track of thousands of moving digital pieces without losing their minds, well, you're in the right place. Okay, let's dive into this. To really understand the solution here, we kind of have to visualize the problem first. So picture a completely dark, fragmented network. A single dot pulses slowly in the dark. Then more start appearing, hundreds, then literally thousands. These are your devices, your servers, endpoints, just scattered everywhere with zero structure, just fragmented nodes floating around in total isolation. For so many organizations out there, this isn't a hypothetical, it's reality. Somewhere in their network, there are thousands of these disconnected pieces, which really begs the question, is your IT team working blind? Because if we drift through that dark network, you immediately start seeing the warning signs. Some of those nodes are just pulsing red with warnings, others are flashing critical alerts. And, maybe the most terrifying part, some nodes are completely dark, just totally invisible to the system. We're talking about unmanaged devices, expired licenses, missing patches, and the dreaded shadow IT. When you have assets that are unpatched, unmanaged, or just completely unknown, it's totally overwhelming. It proves that even the hardest working IT teams are basically operating in the dark. And this brings us to a huge paradigm shift. Imagine the chaos just pauses for a second. The source material asks a really powerful question here. What if your IT estate could see itself, track itself, and fix itself? Just let that sink in for a second. What if it didn't have to be this chaotic mess of blind spots and endless alarms? What if the whole system just ran itself? That's the core thesis of what we're unpacking today. To answer that big what if, we are introduced to a concept called Agentic AI, which is driven by the ZioSet AI core. Imagine a central core shooting out these scanning beams in every direction, reaching every single node all at once. And this isn't just a basic ping or a scheduled scan. This agentic AI acts as an intelligence layer. It doesn't wait around for someone to tell it what exists. It automatically finds everything. It tracks and governs every single asset, and it does the whole thing in real time. As this AI scans the network, there's this massive transformation. Suddenly, the dark nodes are discovered. The warning nodes get analyzed. Critical issues are resolved. Honestly, it's kind of like watching a pitch-black city's power grid just suddenly surge to life. The AI follows this exact sequential process: discovering, tracking, analyzing, optimizing, and finally, governing. Every asset, every software license, every endpoint gets grouped into these clean, fully governed clusters. Once that network is actually illuminated and organized, we get a clear look at the architecture. Right at the center is the main core, and orbiting around it are three distinct platform modules: ITAM, SAM, and ESM. These are the three pillars of the intelligence layer. And what they're doing is constantly crunching clean data, inventory grids, compliance scores, patch statuses, and feeding all of that vital intel straight back into the central core. Let's break those down really quickly, starting with ITAM, or IT Asset Management. The big takeaway here is just the sheer scale of it. 12,847 assets discovered. I mean, imagine having immediate real-time visibility into almost 13,000 distinct physical and digital assets across a whole global company, just constantly tracked through their entire life cycles. Now, if we pivot over to SAM, which is Software Asset Management, the key metric here is 97.3. That's a 97.3% compliance score. And in the enterprise software world, where a single expired license or a failed audit can literally cost millions of dollars, having an autonomous system constantly driving compliance up to 97.3% is absolutely crucial. And finally, we have ESM, or Enterprise Service Management, which is all about endpoint protection. The number here is 1,247. But actually, scratch that. It's not just a static inventory count. That number represents 1,247 patches deployed entirely automatically. No human intervention needed. No missed endpoints, just immediate automated protection across the network. So the entire platform basically runs on this core triad rule. ITAM's mission: know every asset, right now. SAM's mission: own every license, continuously. And ESM's mission is to protect every endpoint, automatically. Know every asset, own every license, protect every endpoint. And not as some abstract future goal, but right now as an always running reality. So, the crucial point is how this all actually integrates. Because usually, when an organization looks at a platform this comprehensive, their immediate fear is, oh no, we have to do a massive, painful rip and replace of our entire IT stack. But the source is explicitly clear about this. ZioSet acts as an intelligence layer above your existing stack. They don't replace your tools, they just make them autonomous. It takes the apps you already use and brings in an AI to actually govern the entire environment. It's a real game changer. To round out our explainer, it's worth mentioning where this tech comes from and who it's for. ZioSet was designed in India, but it's built very specifically for global enterprises. You know the kinds of organizations dealing with those massive, sprawling, chaotic networks we talked about at the start? And if you're curious to see how this agentic AI platform actually functions in the wild, the source points straight to their website at zioscientai.com to book a demo. Which brings us to the end of today's explainer. And I want to leave you with one final, kind of provocative thought. We've talked about how a dark, fragmented network full of unmanaged devices and expired licenses can be instantly illuminated and governed by an autonomous AI. But it kind of forces us to look inward at our own setups. Think about your own organization's network today. Honestly, how much shadow IT is lurking in your blind spots right now? It's definitely a question worth asking. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and keep learning.